Diamond, and thank you for joining me today on my YouTube channel. Today, I wanted to speak with you about the afterlife because I received a lot of questions about the afterlife. It's a topic that seems to be of a lot of interest to many of you, and because I did get a lot of questions, I want to respond to your questions. If you ask me questions, I'll do my very best to respond. So I'm going to do that in today's video. But I wanted to start off by at least describing and setting the playing field for what we understand is the afterlife. Because I noticed so many of you ask questions about the afterlife, but the questions seem to be based on an understanding that the afterlife was sort of like here on Earth, but just a little bit different. Well, the truth is, it's not at all like Earth. Earth is a material, physical realm, and the afterlife is a totally different dimension of no time and no space, and all time and all space. And we don't exist the same way in the afterlife. In the afterlife, we exist as energy. Here on Earth, we are material, physical beings, but in the afterlife, we are not. So I think many people think of the afterlife as just like here on earth, that we live in houses and we do things that we would do here on earth, and we look the same and we are the same, but we're just not here on earth. And for those of us who are mediums, that is not our understanding. That is not what we have seen or encountered or heard. And what our understanding is that this is a place where we continue to be us. We continue to be our essence, our soul continues, but we are not in physical body, and it's not a physical realm. There are no houses and streets and cities. I mean, not in the way that we understand them. There's nothing physical there. So that's the first thing that I want to say. But I want to get to your questions, and there were a number of them, and we'll get through some of them today. First of all, Steve asks, and this is a question about the physical material part. Will we feel we have physical form and abilities in the afterlife? So again, this is a question that pertains to our understanding of life here on earth. So and thinking that it's the same in the afterlife. We don't have physical form in the afterlife. We leave our physical body behind on earth, but our essence, our energy, that which is us, continues. But that is something that's invisible to us on earth. It's invisible unless you're a medium, and then you could see it. But for most people, it's invisible. But we know that it's there. We know that it's what makes us us, because we are more than our physical bodies. That part of us continues in the afterlife, but it is not in physical form, and we aren't playing tennis as such in the afterlife, or doing any of the things, driving a car in the afterlife. But mediums do get messages from those in the afterlife showing them these sorts of activities, and often what that means is that those in the afterlife are letting us know that they're doing something that they feel very joyful. They feel the way they felt when they were doing activities here that brought them lots of joy. And because the afterlife is a state of consciousness out in the universe, anything is possible, of course, but they can't actually physically play some of these sports. But their consciousness may allow them to experience the feelings that they enjoyed here on Earth. So another question was, how old are we? Are we the same age? Susan asks, are people the same age on the other side? So again, there is no age, there is no time per se in the afterlife. Age is an earth-based concept. We have calendars here, and we have 24 hours in a day. But in the afterlife, there is no time, there is no space, but at the same time, it's a place of infinite time and infinite space. So the idea that you would have a birthday or that you're a certain age doesn't really exist. But what does exist is, if, let's say, you pass at the age of 80, you have 80 years worth of memory that is embedded in your consciousness, is embedded in your essence. If you pass when you're 42, you have 42 years worth of those memories. Same thing if you pass at a very young age as a child. You have 9 years or 12 years or whatever it is of memories embedded in you. But you are not an age per se. You can be all ages. As a matter of fact, for many mediums, when somebody from the afterlife enters into a reading, they may have passed when they were 80, but they may present themselves in the reading as being 35. Because I mean, let's face it, if you had a choice between looking 80 and 35, which would you pick? So that's the way they feel too. They come in sort of, they can manifest themselves at any age, and they may show themselves at a younger age. That's completely up to them. They're still the same person. It's just they can project whatever age they want. But they are not an age in the afterlife. They are timeless, timeless. They exist in infinity and in a space of no time. So there's no age. So again, this is this idea that, geez, we're a certain age here, so it must be the same over there. It's not the same. It's a different dimension. It's not at all the same. So here's a question about what would you expect to do in the afterlife? And that's a question by Lynn. And generally, people do whatever they really enjoyed here on Earth. Many of them will spend time with their loved ones or in the afterlife if they enjoyed being with their loved ones here. Many of them will enjoy activities consciousness-wise. Of course, as I said, they can't necessarily hit a tennis ball, but because their consciousness is unlimited, they can, it's almost like meditation. If you meditate and you find that you go to some place that transcends this reality, they can do that times 100 million in the afterlife. So they can participate in a sense in activities that produce a very happy and enjoyable state in their consciousness. And it's all produced through their consciousness, which continues to exist. Here's a question about, it's a question that comes up many times. Lori asks the question that she was told by a medium that her son is with her all the time, and she finds that to be comforting, but she doesn't feel her son, or she thinks she might feel her son, but she's not sure. So this is very common. I think whether you're first starting out and you're doing meditation, or you're using your intuition, or you're just trying to do some work as a beginning psychic or medium, you may be getting impressions, you may be getting feelings, you may be getting thoughts that drift in, you may get visions that drift in, and you don't trust them because this is something new. And the energy is different, and the first thought is, it's my ego, I'm producing this. So it takes some time to get used to this energy. It's a different energy, and it's a completely normal and human response to assume that you're making this up or that it's your own ego, but it's not. So the best thing I could suggest is when if you have this feeling that your son is around you, accept it. The same thing with your intuition. If you're getting a feeling through your intuition, accept it. Any of these energies that are coming in, best thing you can do is accept them, and they will get those feelings and thoughts and impressions will get stronger over time. But it is completely normal to assume that you're making it up. But if you feel like your son is around you, your son is probably around you. And it's something that, of course, you're not used to. So it would be completely logical to think that it's not happening. But I find that in most cases, our loved ones are around us. Now, another question that comes up a lot is how do I connect with my loved ones on the other side? And many people have asked this question. So the first thing I would say about that is, why do you think that you'd be able to connect with your loved ones on the other side? I mean, they don't have cell phones. They don't have text messaging. They don't have email. You can't just call them up. So the idea that you should be able to connect with them and then you're not able to, um, that's already kind of a hard concept for me to understand, because there's nothing that says that you should be able to connect with them. Now, having said that, and I don't want anybody to get mad at me for that, but I'm just trying to lay out the facts. Having said that, it is possible that you can connect with your loved ones in the afterlife. And you could do what people like myself have done, and I'm a medium, and I've trained to become a medium to do this work. And the same with other mediums. You know, if you said to me, "How can I play this concerto on a piano?" I've never taken a lesson, but I'd like to sit down now. And how do I do that? I would say, well, I think the best thing for you to do is go off and take some lessons and practice. And after some period of time, you should be able to do that. Well, it's the same thing with communicating with the afterlife. If you want to communicate with your loved ones in the afterlife, you're going to have to learn some basics. And those of us who are mediums have done that, but you can also do that. And I'll just tell you a quick anecdote. I studied to become a medium at the Arthur Findlay College of Mediumship in the UK. And it's been around for 100 years or 150 years. And when I went for my training, I was there with about 150 people in my class. And the first night, a medium stood up and said to us, "You all are here to learn to become mediums, and I'll tell you how you do it." And everyone was on the edge of their seat. And the teacher said, "If you think you can do it, you can do it." And I thought, wow, I can't believe I came all the way over here, and that's what I'm going to learn. But the truth is, that's pretty much how it works. If you imagine that you have a door in your consciousness, and that door opens and closes, if you can open that door, you can get messages. And there are several things involved with opening that door. You have to accept the messages. You have to set your intention that you're going to open that door. You have to practice. You have to learn to recognize those messages. You have to learn that not every time you're going to make a connection. And most importantly, you have to learn that if you do learn to do this, you can be the telephone line, but you can't make those on the other side pick up the telephone. Okay? So this idea that you should just be able to connect with your loved ones in the afterlife, which I don't know. I just don't think that's a realistic question. I think another question would be, how can I learn to pick up some of these skills, and what do I need to know about connecting with those in the afterlife, so that you could set your expectation to try to do something like this. It is, as I say, it is possible, but please don't have any expectations that your loved ones are going to go to the afterlife and that you're automatically going to be able to connect with them. And if you can't, there must be something wrong, because it's not an automatic. Okay, I guess that maybe because of movies and TV and whatnot, and anecdotal incidents, people expect this to happen, but it's not a reasonable expectation. It can be learned. You can practice, and you can learn to do this, but even mediums don't always make that connection every time, and these are professionals. So if you want to learn more about how to do this and how to connect, I mean, we can talk about that. Maybe I'll do another, if you're interested, I'll do another video, a YouTube video on it, and discuss it some more if that's helpful to you. And last question is, and it comes from Wendy. How do you know that your loved one is safe and at peace? And that's a question that I can answer as a medium. Oftentimes, when I'm connecting with those on the other side, I can only tell you that all of those I've connected with who've passed are at peace. Low-level emotions like jealousy, rage, anger, lack of patience, things like that, those are all left on Earth. And in the afterlife, we're in a very high vibration dimension. So there is no place for these low level vibration human emotions that exist on Earth. So what's left is love and peace and joy, and our loved ones are in that state, and they will often say that. And I have had the experience because I'm a death doula and I sit bedside with the actively dying at hospice. I wrote a book called Diary of a Death Doula about this. And because I'm a medium as well as a death doula, I could see what happens in the invisible world at end of life. And sometimes these patients will express that they feel very joyful and light as they are moving on to the next dimension. So this is something that just sort of comes with the territory, let's say. So I hope these answers, help to satisfy some of your questions. I know you have more, and I know that you probably would like to hear more about some of the answers. But for today, I will leave you with this, and I thank you for listening. We'll have more videos coming up, and if you enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe. There's a button down there to subscribe, and please pass them on and share them with your loved ones and your friends and family. It's so important to get this information out. If there's a particular topic that you'd like to have discussed, please feel free to email me. So until next time, thank you so much.